Good morning, students. I am Noor Ahmad Usmani, head of the department Civil Engineering, and I am taking one of the subjects for you in your third semester, that is basic surveying. You people know that you are in third semester, and definitely this is the first semester in your department, that is civil engineering, and I would like you to know some of the things belonging to Department of Civil Engineering. I will first make you introduce the total semester, right? What different subjects you have, and then I will take up the subject which I am handling. Then I will tell you what exactly you are going to learn in the subject module wise. And surely I am going to talk about the topic which I am having in my mind for the today's lecture. First, let me give you the brief idea of civil engineering. Definitely, you know that civil engineering is something which uh, doesn't exist naturally. Like naturally, there are rivers, there are streams, there are hills, there are valleys, there are trees. So these are natural resources available on the Earth's surface. Anything which is not natural is generally built by a civil engineer. So you can say that you are the one who is going to design this world to have a better place for the comfortable living. So definitely, when civil engineer is going to have his spectrum, broad spectrum in the area of engineering. I hope you people might be knowing in your first year of civil engineering that civil engineering is the mother of all the engineering, because since the days of civilization there were no branches of engineering except civil engineering. There were other sectors of engineering, what you have right now, were not there as the engineering sector or branches of engineering. Earlier, engineer means civil engineer. Nowadays, you find that there are mechanical engineers, there are electrical engineers, there are electronics and communication engineers, and there are computer science engineers, and there are automobile engineers. Likewise, we have a very wide range of engineers right now. But engineering started with civilization, that is civil engineering. And since the days of civil engineering, or since the days of civilization, you have uh, civil engineers contributing in every field you take. You name any of the things, definitely you have a civil engineer behind that. You might have heard about the scope of civil engineering in the first year of your engineering, that is in elements of civil engineering and mechanics subject. You have studied about the scope of civil engineering, what different scopes you have, like structural engineering you have, then environmental engineering you have, geotechnical engineering you have, transportation engineering you have, water resource you have, then planning you have, that is town planning, municipal town planning, then irrigation engineering you have. There are various areas where the civil engineers are actually working right now. After your engineering, you have very large scope to work in various sectors. To name a few, I would like to take up the names like PWD. There is irrigation engineering, and then we have power plants where the civil engineers are actually required. And you have civil engineers in almost all the sectors you have, like starting from the government sectors like PWD, KSRTC, and then irrigation engineering. Railway engineering is a very big, you know, can say you can government undertaking company which recruits very large number of civil engineers throughout the country. And when it comes to hiring civil engineers for the private sector, you have very big scope coming up in the coming days, as you have seen that infrastructure is ultimately the one which will tell you what exactly is the country's progress. So if you say that a country is a developed country, definitely how best the buildings are, how best the roads are being constructed, and how good the transportation is in the country, and how best the water supply arrangements are being done in the country, how best the irrigation is taking up in the country, and how best the sewage is being treated in the country. There are multiple ways how you look for a developed country. So if I have to say that the country is developed, then definitely I have to say that civil engineers are the one who will contribute to the largest extent possible, because ultimately the face of development is infrastructure. So civil engineering has got a tremendous amount of area in which you can work. You can select whatever field you would like to have, like structural engineers, you have environmental engineers, geotechnical engineers. So there are various ways where you can jump into after your basic degree in civil engineering. So you can always go for higher studies like Master of Technology, that is MTech, in structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, environmental engineering, transportation engineering, water resource engineering, water and land management, so surveying. There are various fields where you can go and get your career. And definitely the days are not that good right now, as you can see there are less openings available, not only for civil engineers, throughout the globe you can see that there are less opportunities available right now. But over the period of time, when you people might get your degree, there may be a very good opportunities might be waiting for you people. So these 3 years will be very crucial for you to to make your career towards something which is achievable. And many of the times we see that the students always correlate their studies from the textbooks to the actual field. When I see, when I find my students talking, when they graduate and when they start working, and when they come after few years to meet us, they always have the tendency of speaking like what we have studied in the classes is quite a different, and what we actually do in the field is different, and that is not so. I always tell them, whenever they tell this to me, I tell them that that is not the fact, because we study in our civil engineering how exactly you prepare a concrete mix. For an example, if I have to get certain strength for the concrete which I am preparing, like all the concrete will not have the same strength. I can decide upon the strength which I want to have in the concrete. Like for the concrete which is going to be spread at the bed, at the foundation level, that concrete need not be very hard enough or very strengthy enough. It can be moderately strength. It can have a moderate strength, so that only it can support the superstructure. That's it. The load can be distributed equally into the ground. That is the reason why you provide bed concrete at the bottom of the foundation. And such a concrete you need not to have very good strength. So I can reduce my ingredients which I am going to use for that concrete, and I can reduce the strength, and reduce the strength in the sense what which can be good for the foundation, not below the requirement. When I know that when I can change the strength of the concrete based on my requirement. In your fourth semester, you have a subject called concrete technology, in which you are going to study how I am going to change the strength. Like the strength is measured in terms of some stress level what concrete can take. For an example, if concrete is designed for 10 Newton per mm square, So that means what, that concrete can take up load up to 10 newtons per millimeter square, right? So 10 Newton per millimeter square, in the sense you can see how small will be 1 mm square, right? 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. Such a small square can take up 10 Newton. 10 Newton in the sense 1 kg. So such a small area of the concrete can take up 1 kg of load. So that means what, the column which has got sufficient cross section can take sufficient load. So that is the lowest concrete grade what we have. So 10 Newton per mm square means the concrete will have 10 Newton per mm square of strength. So yeah, the 10 designate the strength of the concrete. So strength of the concrete is generally having values like 10, 20, 25, 30 like this. So if I have to have the concrete of 25 Newton per mm square, then I have to change the ingredients. So generally concrete ingredients will be like cement, sand, aggregates, and then water. So these are the ingredients which I am going to vary to get the sufficient strength. So how I am going to decide, and what is the parameters to decide how to change the strength of the concrete is what you are going to learn in your fourth semester. So definitely that he is going to apply in his actual field also. Only thing is that he need to use pen and paper to work out the quantities, and before he uses pen and pencil he has to go and inspect what material I am using for concrete. So he should know the quality of the concrete, I mean cement, aggregate and sand, to know how much concrete, I mean how much quantity of these material I should use for the concrete. So when a person should do all these things, so generally become lazy and he generally avoid these things. So what he generally do is he ask some of his fellow mates, or he will take some suggestions from the friends, or he will take some suggestions from the Gaundi Mestris working on the site. So generally Gaundi Mestri will have a thumb rule. He says one booty of one bag of cement will have around 6 bags of sand and 10 or 12 bags of cuddy. So such a parameter will be taken, and he will design it. And later to the period when such a thing has been practiced for around 2 to 3 years, then he assumes that that itself is the correct way of doing it, and I have not learned this in my classroom. So actually that is not a right way. Actual way is this only. You have to design, you have to use pen and paper, calculator, and you should come up with certain values. For 1 bag of cement, how much sand I need to use, how much aggregate I need to use, how much water I have to put. So when he come across such things, then only he will be able to become a good civil engineer. Then he can relate always that the things which you are having in your what you can say, textbook, the things which you have studied in your textbook will really matter in actual field. That is what I wanted to say. Civil engineering has got very broad spectrum, so over the years you are going to learn so many things, and when you are going to have these parameters going to be helpful for you in your future. Definitely you must always concentrate on the basics which you are going to learn in your third and fourth semester. Third and fourth semesters are quite basic things which you are going to learn. So you have to be very thorough in studying all these subjects which you are going to learn now, especially in your third semester and fourth semester. Don't neglect these subjects, and I request you not to even waste a single minute of your study time. Utilize it completely. Don't neglect even a single chapter from your syllabus. Read it completely, especially from third and fourth semester, because these are basics. And if you are thorough from third and fourth semester, remember fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth will be dead easy for people. Very easy subjects you are going to have in your future. So this is how you are going to have your entire degree, that is 3 years, which you are going to have here in our institution. And for your understanding, I want to take up some of the things which you should know. Let me take. I will share my screen so that you people can see this. I will show you the scheme first. So once I share my screen, you will be able to see. So I'm going to show you the scheme first. So I hope, yeah. I'm not understanding how to get this. Okay, I guess I have this now. Yeah. Now, if you just look at the scheme right now, I will just show you the screen. These are some of the things which you should know. So this is your third semester. So there are subjects in your third semester, and then there are practicals. In your third semester, you will have 6 subjects and 2 practicals, and one more subject which is either Kannada or Constitution. I will tell you what subjects you have. So the first subject you have is mathematics, that is transform calculus, Fourier series, and numerical techniques. So this is the subject what you have as mathematics, and mathematics branch lecturers will handle subjects for you. So this subject has got 2 lecture hours and 2 tutorial hours. So wherever you have the subjects quite difficult, you have this tutorial kind of thing. Then you have strength of materials, then fluid mechanics, building materials and construction, basic surveying, engineering geology, and then you have 2 practicals, that is computer aided building planning drawing, then building materials testing laboratory. Along with this, you have one more subject. In third semester, you are going to learn Kannada, and in fourth semester, you are going to learn this Constitution of India, professional ethics, and cyber law. So these Kannada subjects, what you are going to learn. So those who know Kannada to speak and write, so they will have Adalita Kannada. That is Kannada for administration. And who doesn't know Kannada writing and reading at all, so they are going to learn Kannada for communication. That is Vyavaharika Kannada, right? So Kannada for communication and Kannada for administration. So those who know Kannada and those who doesn't know Kannada, for them it is. And this also has got 1 credit, right? So if you just look at the last column here, so every subject has got credits in it. First, mathematics has got 3 credits. Second subject, SOM, has got 4 credits, strength of materials. Then other subjects have got 3 credits, and practicals have got 2 credits, and finally that Kannada or Constitution has got 1 credit, right? So the difficult subjects are given higher credits, so that is why the SOM is given, strength of materials is given 4 credits, all others have been given 3 credits. So you can understand that the strength of material is slightly a difficult subject which you need to concentrate more on your studies, right? So these subjects have got even the subject codes here. 18 MAT 31 is the subject code for mathematics, 18 CV 32, 18 CV 33, 18 CV 34. Like this, all the subjects have got subject codes. 18 is the year in which the subject or the scheme is introduced, and CV is the subject, I mean the branch code. Then 32, 33, 3, the first number in that is the semester in which you are learning it, and the second digit number is the serial number of the subject. Now to tell you how exactly the marks are break up. So the subjects are given 40 marks internal and 60 marks external. All the subjects have got 40 marks internal and then 60 marks external. So internal is written as CIE marks. CIE means continuous internal evaluation. CIE means continuous internal evaluation marks. Then you have external. External is written as SEE. SEE means semester and examination marks. Semester and examination marks. So 40 internal, 60 external, total is 100 marks, right? So these are further bifurcated. So internal marks are 40 and all the 40 are not being given by the internal assessment. So out of 40, 30 are based on the examination, that is internal assessment examination. There are 3 IAs will be conducted and average of 3 IAs will be given out of 30, and remaining 10 marks are given for assignment or quiz which will be taken up during your semester, right? So it is 30 plus 10, 30 IA, 10 assignment, and then semester end examination, so 60 marks. So actually semester end examination will be conducted for 100 marks and that 100 marks will be converted to 60, right? And you will be given finally in your marks out of 100 how much you have taken, that will be given to you. Yeah. So this is about the subjects what you have and what exactly will be the structure of your semester, right? Now let me take you to the subject which I am handling for you right now. So you have a subject called basic surveying. The subject code is 18CV35. Subject code is 18CV35, right? So it will have 3 hours of lecture every week, right? So but we generally take either 4 or 5 hours of lectures per week. It has got 3 credits and internal marks are 40, external marks are 60, and main examination, that is semester end examination, will have 3 hours of duration. And there are 5 modules in your subject. So just to show you what different modules you have and what you are going to learn in that. First let me tell you what exactly is you are going to learn in your subject surveying. Let me tell you what exactly surveying is all about. Surveying is something which is like knowing your place of work. Surveying, the actual mean, I'm not telling you the definition of surveying right now. I'm telling you in a broader way what exactly you need to understand from the word surveying is. It is actually knowing your area. You people are civil engineers and you know that you are going to construct building. If you have to construct building, definitely there has to be a land on which you are going to construct building, and without knowing how the land is, you cannot start constructing your building. So if I have to know the land, it means I have to do surveying of the land. I have to carry out survey of the land. Only when I do the surveying, then only I will be able to design my building. Then only I am going to have a proper way of execution of the building construction. To show you in a better way, let me take up something wherein I can show you how exactly the things are being worked out. Imagine if you have a land, let me tell you, okay. I will show you from the front how exactly the land looks like. Yeah. So this is how the land is, right? And over this land you will need to construct your building, right? So standing on the road, you are looking at your land. So you are standing on the road and you are looking at the land, and this is how the land is looking. So there are already the houses being constructed here. So this is one house which is already existing, right? There is one more house which is already existing on either side of your house, right? Now this is the land at which you are going to have your house. So now look at the land how it is. So it is sloping. Are you going to have your house the way how it is? To show you in a better way, if the land is sloping like this, are you going to have your house in a similar way like this, parallel to the earth surface? Is it possible to have a construction like this? Definitely not, isn't it? So if I have to have a proper horizontal floor on my building like this, on the adjacent buildings what you can see, then I should know how the ground is first, right? And if such and slope is given or present in the earth, so I have number of options how I am going to construct it vertically like these two buildings. So how I'm going to do this is either by cutting this land and putting up here and making it a level. So cutting in the sense what? So this portion like from here to here I'm going to cut. So this entire section I'm going to cut now. Then this line which I'm going to cut, I'm going to place it here to fill up this gap. Whatever is being present in this area, I'm going to get that here, and then I'm going to compact it so that this becomes label. This is one option what I have. Then other options what I'm going to use right now is I can have my building in such a way that I can reduce the construction, like putting up this land here and then doing something. So what I can do is I can just have my building horizontally from this side, this, isn't it? Right? So this land or this area which I have, I'm going to use it for my car parking or something, right? But an additional slab might be required here, right? And over this you are going to have your house constructed, right? And here the foundation, how the depth of the foundation should be here, and how the depth of the foundation should be here, and how I'm going to retain this land which I'm going to cut up. So all these things are to be assessed as a civil engineer, and to know all these things you have to have proper surveying done. Surveying means what? You will come to know how the land is present in the field, whether the ground is completely flat, whether the ground is sloping. I am talking about a small plot here where the small building is constructed. Just look into a different way of larger constructions, like a big construction coming up for a mall. A big mall is coming up, so very large number of acres of land will be present there. So such a land, if it is sloping, then it creates problem for us. So land should be known first. How the land is, you should know that. So that is the reason why you need to have. I'm saying that you must always have your ways of understanding the particular topic, right? So surveying is required to know your design, how I am going to plan my house. So surveying is required before planning also, and during execution of the building also. Execution means construction, actual construction, right? So as a civil engineer, first you need to plan your building, then you need to start constructing, isn't it? So that is why the biggest challenge of civil engineers is to imagine the things. So he has to imagine how the building may look like, then he will be able to give some idea to his way of constructing or constructing the building. So when I have to imagine, then I should know how the ground is, right? So before you start planning your building, you should know the ground profile. So ground profile is known first, then design is being carried out, and during the execution also you need surveying. As I have told you, you observe your house, you observe your floor in the house, you find that the floor of your house is perfectly horizontal. Having it perfectly horizontal, such a large space is constructed horizontally. It is not constructed and then it is brought into your place, and then it is being kept horizontally. No, it is constructed horizontally. You just imagine how difficult it will be to construct your floor perfectly horizontal, and just imagine even the top slab is perfectly horizontal. And how is that possible that you have such a perfect horizontal slab? If I ask you to hold your mobile phone perfectly horizontal, you may not be able to hold it horizontally. Such a small piece of mobile cannot be held horizontally with our eye judgment. Then how such a large floor can be constructed horizontally? Just imagine. So you need some equipments there. So surveying will tell you how I am going to have my floors exactly horizontal. I am talking about a small floor. Imagine there are big bridges, there are dams being constructed, and without surveying, you cannot even start your work there. So, to start your bridge or dam construction, first thing is to survey that land where you are going to have the bridge construction, where you are going to have the dam construction. So, the survey has to be carried out, and how the land is, that has to be known first. Then you need to plan it, right? And then after planning, then the execution when it takes place, then once again you need surveying there, right? So starting from the basic thing, like if I have a to show you in a better way, let me take up this. I will erase this. Okay. Imagine you have a plot like this. Such a plot you have brought, right? So imagine you have brought 30 by 40 size of plot. Within this plot you need to start constructing. So this is how the plot is looking from the top. So this is top view. You have studied different things in your study, I mean in your first semester engineering graphics, so you know how what is top view now. So this is your plot. Then within this plot, if I have to start constructing my building, I should know that I have to leave the space on all the sides of my plot. I cannot construct the building equal to the plot size. You might be knowing that you have to leave some space at all the sides of your building so that you get some ventilation and air, light entering into your building. So imagine if all the houses are constructed throughout the land, then definitely no buildings will have windows. So if at all if you have windows, then windows will open up into other houses, isn't it? So such a situation may arise. So that is the reason why generally you are going to have space left on all the sides, and even at the front side you need some space for parking your vehicle, and then the rear side you generally require some space for cleaning your utensils or washing clothes. You need some space. So on the front and on the rear side generally a larger space is left, and on the sides generally you will leave some smaller space in comparison to the other two sides. So now when I start constructing the building, I just come up with some plan, like I'm going to have bedroom here and kitchen here, and then different things. So if I have to show you that I am going to have my house from here to here, just an example, right? So within this you are going to have a number of rooms. In that kitchen you will have, then bedroom you will have, then hall you will have. Just to show you different things. Yes, there might be one, and okay. Then imagine that there are different. There is a kitchen, there is bedroom, there is one more bedroom, there is hall. There are utensils, some material. Then when you design this, then definitely once this plan is ready, then you will start allocating the columns, where all the places I am going to have my columns. Like for an example, like one thing to show you. Imagine that you are going to have one column here, then one more column here. Just an example I am showing you. One more column here, then a column here, then a column here. Right? This is just an example which I am showing you. So precisely they are being kept at a place. It is not the way how I am placing it, right? So that is also part of engineering. You are going to learn that. So different place at different places you are going to have the columns placed. So this is in the paper what you are actually this is being done in AutoCAD software. Then you know this is the plot and this is how the space is left. You will generally leave 3 feet space here, 3 feet space here. Then columns are being placed. Then from here to here there is some distance. From here to here some distance. So all the distances will be known to you. So which are there in the paper. So in the ground you just have a line. That's it. So over the land, if I start constructing, first thing what you need to do is uh, locate the position of columns, because you need to have the foundation for the columns first. So to have the foundations for the column, the first thing what you need to do is to show where exactly is the center of the column is, isn't it? So exactly the center of the column is to be taken. So in the AutoCAD only you will come to know where exactly is the center of the column. The distance of the center of column from this edge and from this edge will be taken, right? So likewise center distance of all the columns from edges will be known, and center of all the columns from other columns, so like these distances will also be known, and a printout will be taken of that particular paper where all the center to center distances are being marked. Then you go with such a paper to the field. Then you will have the building uh, plot. So plot should be having good remarking boundaries. So at least two boundaries should be correctly known to you, either this or this or this or this, right? So these two if I know there in the field, first I will drive a nail here at this corner, and I will drive one nail here, and I will drive one more nail here. Then I am going to tie a thread here to here, here to here, two threads. So these are the two planes which are reference for us. Using these two edges, I am going to know, I am going to fix up the center of the column in the field using surveying technique. So I know what is the distance of the center of this column from this edge. So I am going to measure it with the help of tape, and I am going to mark this. And I am going to have the distance measured from here also, and I will see what is the distance. Then I am going to mark. So this column is being marked. So in a similar way, all other columns are being marked, taking the reference as this line and this line. So now if you just look at, I have to use the surveying technique. I have to use surveying technique for my uh, placing of columns. So even the simple thing like placing of columns requires you to have the knowledge of surveying. So this is what the subject is all about. So surveying is actually about measurements. So largely in surveying you deal with the measurements of, madam, actually I was preparing a video for my lectures. वीडियो कर रहा था लेक्चर के लिए, सो मैं उठा नहीं सकता था. ओके. So surveying is all about measurements. So remember, whenever you take up any work, so without measurement nothing can happen. So unless you have all the details to carry out any kind of work in the field, you should not start working on it. Like, I should know what is the size of the column, I should know what is the distance of column from every column or from the edges. So likewise for the work which you are going to carry out, to start your planning you need to know surveying, and to end your planning or to execute your planning, you need to have the knowledge of surveying. Surveying is all about measurements, remember, right? So if I have to measure certain distance, then how I am going to measure that? If the distance is horizontal, how I am going to measure that distance? And if it is sloping ground, how I am going to measure that distance, right? And if it is not only about measurement of distances, it is also measuring a vertical distance between two points. So as I have told you, a ground, if it is sloping, you should know one edge of this. I mean, imagine, take this only, the plot. If this is not having a proper flat ground, imagine this is at a higher level compared to this. So ground is sloping from this end to this end, right? So if this is at a higher end and if this is at a lower end, I should know how much this is higher than this. Understood? So this is how you are going to have your study in surveying, right? So let me tell you how exactly the things will work up in every subject.